Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lawrence Central High School and our annual fall play. We thank you very much for joining us. This play has 3 acts to it. Unlike most plays, it has 2. So you will have 2 intermissions tonight. So please, after the second act, come back for the third act because the play won't be over. Also, this play was written without props and without scenery. So don't think we've had budget cuts when you watch this play and they're pantomiming some of the scenery and the props that they're supposed to have. That's the style of this play for those of you that are unfamiliar with something like this. Thank you very much for supporting the performing arts here at Lawrence Central. We're really glad you're here. Please enjoy our town.
This play is called Our Town. It was written by Thornton Wilder, directed and produced by Miss Morgan. In it, you will see Miss Roxy Legg, Miss Erin Weller, Miss Monica Williams, Mr. Justin Hoffa, Mr. Mateo Escobedo, Mr. Nathan Terhune, and many others. The name of this town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire. It's just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude, 42 degrees, 40 minutes. Longitude, 37 degrees, 70 minutes. First act shows the day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east there behind our mountain. Morning star always gets wonderfully bright the moment it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Way back there is a railroad station. Tracks go that way. A Polish town is across the tracks and some Canuck families. Over there is a Congregational church. Across the street, the Presbyterian. Methodist and Unitarian are over yonder, and Baptist is down in the hollow by the river. Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Here is our town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. Brian once made a speech from these very steps here. Along here's a row of stores. Horse blocks and hitching posts in front of them. First automobile's gonna come along in about 5 years. Belonged to Banker Cartwright, our richest citizen. Lives in the big white house up on the hill. Here is the grocery store, and here is Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look in those two stores at least once a day. Public school's over yonder, high school's so farther over. 9:15 mornings, noon times, and 3 o'clock afternoons, the whole town can hear the yelling and screaming from those schoolyards. This is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door. There's some scenery for those that think they have to have scenery. And here is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, and a whole lot of burdock. In those days, our newspaper came out twice a week, the Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is Editor Webb's house. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. Same as Mrs. Gibbs. Well, he's got a lot of sunflowers too. And right here is a big butternut tree. Nice town. You know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever came out of it, as far as we know. Earliest tombstones in that cemetery up there on the mountain say 1670, 1680. There were Grovers, and Cartwrights, and Gibbs, and Herseys. Same names that are around here now. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. The only lights on in town are at the cottage, where the Polish mother had just had twins. At the Joe Crowell house, Joe Jr.'s getting up as to deliver the paper. And at the depot, where Shorty Hopkins is getting ready to flag the 545 for Boston. Naturally, out in the country and all around, there's been lights on for some time now, with the milk and so on. But town people sleep late. So, another day's begun. There's Doc Gibbs coming down Main Street now, coming back from that baby case. And there is his wife coming downstairs to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. The new hospital's gonna be named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first. Long time ago, in fact. She went out to visit her daughter Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio, and died there. Pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's buried up there now, and with a whole mess of Gibbs and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in that Congregational church over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. And there's Mrs. Webb, come downstairs to get breakfast too. And there's Doc Gibbs. Got that baby call at 1:30 this morning. There's Joe Crowell, delivering Mr. Webb's sentinel.
Good morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Somebody been sick, Doc?
No, a pair of twins over in Polish town.
Do you want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything important going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster's, getting married to a fellow over in Concord.
I declare, and how do you fellas feel about that?
Well, of course it's none of my business, but if a person starts off to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Fine, Doc. I never think about it at all. No, like you said, it only tells me when it's gonna rain.
What's it telling you today? Gonna rain?
No, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Knee ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated from high school here, end of his class. So he got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of his class there. It was all written up in the Boston paper at the time. Gonna be a great engineer, Joe was. But then the war broke out. And he died in France. All that education, nothing.
Giddy up, Bessie. What's the matter with you today?
There's Howie Newsom coming to deliver the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
Pair of twins over to Mrs. Gorslocky's.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Gonna rain, Howie?
No. Fine day. That'll burn through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the route ever since the Lockharts stopped taking their quart of milk every day. She wants to leave him a quart just the same. Keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc, she's coming down the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late today.
Yes. Something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Doc?
Howie?
Children! Time to get up!
Come on, Bessie.
George! Rebecca! Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kids.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Mrs. Wentworth be here at 11. Guess I know what about you. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. I declare, Frank, I don't know how you'll get along. I do wish I could get you to go away someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good. Emily! Time to get up! Wally! 7 o'clock! I declare, you've got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George! Rebecca! You'll be late for school! George!
George! Look sharp!
Yes, Pa.
Don't you hear your mother calling you? I guess I'll go upstairs and catch 40 winks.
Wally! Emily! You'll be late for school! Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself!
Mom, what dress shall I wear?
Don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs his sleep. I washed a blue gingham for you, special.
Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama! George throwing soap at me.
I'll come and slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
We got a factory in town too. Here, makes blankets. The Cartwrights own it and run them a fortune.
Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling like wolves. It'll stunt your growth. That's a fact. Put away your book, Wally.
Ma, but by 10 o'clock I gotta know all about Canada.
You know the rules as well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than brown.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too, and I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll talk to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving up gradually. Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you?
Money. Eat your breakfast.
Mama, there's the first bell.
I gotta hurry.
I don't want any more.
Hurry. Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Wally, pull up your pants at the knee. Stand up straight, Emily. Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Ma.
You look real nice, Rebecca.
Goodbye.
Pick up your feet.
Bye.
Chick, chick, chick. No, go away, you. Go away. Chick, chick, chick. What's the matter with you? Fight, fight, fight. That's all you do. You don't belong to me. Where'd you come from? Oh, don't look so scared. Nobody's going to hurt you. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know I should go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and stay on key. While I'm resting myself, I thought I'd string some of these beans.
Let me help you.
Beans have been good this year. I've decided to put up 40 chords if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but I notice they're able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've just got to tell you something, because if I don't tell someone, I'll burst.
Julie Gibbs!
Here, give me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First, I thought he was a patient and wanted to see Dr. Gibbs. Then he wormed his way into my parlor, and Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy, as I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs!
He did! That old thing. Why, it was so big I didn't know where to put it, and I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know? $350! What has come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on a real trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. Oh, I don't know. It sounds crazy, I suppose, but for years I've been promising myself that if we ever had the chance.
How does the doctor feel about it?
Well, I did beat about the bush a little and said that if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me someplace.
What'd he say?
You know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he said, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing about Europe. Better let what I left alone, he says. Every 2 years he makes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing it all out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying it, Julia, you sell it. Then you can see Paris all right. Just keep dropping hands from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me that once in your life before you die, you ought to see a country where they don't talk in English. Don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to skip ahead a few hours. But first, we might want a bit more information about a time. Kind of scientific enough, we might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to come in and sketch a few details for us here. Is Professor Willard here? May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University. A few brief words, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners, let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings, but that's all the more recent. 200, 300 million years old. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils. 2 miles out of town, inside the Spaghetti cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum at our university at any time. That is, any reasonable time. Shall I read some of Professor Grubert's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. We might want a few words on the history of man here.
Yes, anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock. Cotahatchee tribes? No evidence before the 10th century of this era. And now entirely disappeared, I'm afraid. Possible traces of 3 families. Migration towards the end of the 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. Since then, some Southern Mediterranean...
And of the population, Professor?
Oh, within the town limits? 2,640.
Just a moment, Professor.
Oh, indeed? The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality and birth rates are constant. McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you, Professor. We are very much obliged to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, sir, and not at all.
This way, Professor. And thank you again. Now for the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb?
He'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while he was eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles! Everybody's waiting!
Mr. Webb is publisher and editor of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. It's our local paper, you know?
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at age 21, women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling of professionally. 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrats, 4% Socialists, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. Little better behaved than most. Probably a lot duller. But our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settle down right here to live, even when they're making their way to college.
Now, is there anyone in our audience who would like to ask Editor Webb anything about the town?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corner?
Well, ma'am, I wouldn't know what you call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down in the Eller Greeno stable and holler some. We've got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes into town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing here in the home. Except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bite, you know? Always was.
Is there no one in town aware?
Come down here to where we can all hear you. Now, what was it you were saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh, yes. Well, everybody is. Something terrible. It seems they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting like everybody else. The way the diligent and sensible rise to the top. And the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all we can to help those that can't help themselves. And those that can, we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb, is there any cultural love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. Come to think of it, there's some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But maybe this is the place to tell you that we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning, and we all notice a good deal about the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the change of the seasons. Yes, everybody knows about them. But those other things, well, you're right, ma'am. There ain't much. Robinson Crusoe and the Bible, and Handel's Lago, we all know that. And Whistler's Mother. But those are just about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now, we'll go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners and the dishes have been washed. There is an early afternoon call in our town. a humming and buzzing coming from the school building. Only a few buggies on Main Street, and horses dozing at the hitching posts. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say, ah. And Mr. Webb over there is cutting his lawn. 1 in 10 men thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. No, sir. It's later than I thought. There are the children coming home from school out there.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, why, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you're calling me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Mrs. Forrest.
Go out and play in the fields, young man. You got no business playing baseball here on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest. Oh, hello, Emily.
Hello.
Guess you made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech on the Monroe Doctrine, but then at the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your headlights when you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still for that long. I guess you like school.
I always feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think? We might work out a kind of telegraph from your window to mine. And once in a while, you could give me a kind of hint or two about one of those algebra problems. Well, I don't mean the answers, Emily. Of course not. Just some little hint.
Oh, I think hints are allowed. So, if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
You're just naturally bright, I guess, Emily.
I figure it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah. But you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can come over and work on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks. I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string these beans for the winter. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation now, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be now?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today and I was really good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously, will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. All my children have good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I've already told you. Yes. No, that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. I've never heard of such foolishness.
Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town, next to Mamie Cartwright.
But Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody To get people interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're not pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now. Bring that bowl with you.
Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you. That'll do. Now I have to interrupt here again. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you, Emily. But there's some more things we want to know about our town. I think now is as good a time as any to tell you that the Colorado interests have begun building a bank here in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont for the model, I'm sorry to say. But they've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. We put in a copy of the New York Times and a copy of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. I'll be interested in this because some scientific fellows found a way of painting all that reading matter with a glue, a silicone glue, that'll make it keep 1,000, 2,000 years. We put in the Bible, in the Constitution of the United States, and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it, and yet all we know about it is the name of some kings, and some wheat contracts, and contracts for the sale of slaves. And yet every night, all those families sat down for supper. And the father came home from work, and the smoke went up in the chimney. Same as here. And even in Greece and Rome, all we really know about the people is what we could piece together at the joking poems and comedies they wrote from the theater actors. So, I've asked to put in a copy of this script so that people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us. More than the Treaty of Versailles or the Lindbergh flag. So the people 1,000 years from now will know that this is the way that we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way that we were. Now growing up, in our marriage, in our living, and in our dying. Well, a good deal of time has gone by. It's evening. You hear choir practice going on with the Congregational Church over there. And the children are at home doing their school. The day is winding down like a tired old clock.
Now look here, everybody. Music comes into the world to bring pleasure. Softer. Softer! Get it out of your heads that music is only good when it's loud! You leave loudness to the Methodists! You can beat me in it if you want! Now again, sopranos!
Emily!
Hello.
Hello.
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Oh! Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Emily, can you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh. Square yards.
Don't you see, George?
Yeah.
square yards of wallpaper.
Oh, I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight just terrible? With the choir practice going on? I think that if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Contuco. Hear it?
Mm-hmm. What do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work.
Oh, good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
Now, before I forget it, how many of you are able to come in Tuesday afternoon and sing at Fred Hersey's wedding? Show your hands. That'll be fine. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did for Jane Trowbridge's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Languid. It's a question, ladies. Make it talk. Ready?
Oh, George! Can you come down here a minute?
Yes, Pop.
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only keep you a minute. How old are you, George?
I'm 16. Almost 17.
And what do you want to do after school's over?
Why, you know, Pop. I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
Ah, so you'll be willing, will you, to get up early every morning and milk and feed the stock, and you'll be able to hoe and hay all day?
Sure I will. What do you mean, Pop?
Well, while I was sitting in my office today, I heard a funny sound. And what do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother, getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing. And still, she has to go out into the backyard and chop wood. I suppose she just got tired of asking you to do it. She just gave up and decided it'd be easier to do it herself. And you eat her meals. And you put on the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball like she's some hired girl we keep around the house, but we don't like very much. You know, all I had to do was bring it to your attention, son. Here's a handkerchief. I've decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week. Not for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a present you give her. But because you're getting older, and I imagine you must find lots of things to do with it.
Thanks, Pop.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday, you can count on it. Probably Rebecca will feel she ought to have some more, too. Wonder what could have happened to your mother. Choir practice was never as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pop.
I don't even know why she's in that old choir. She had any more voice than an old crow. Traipsing around the streets at this hour of the night. About time you retired, don't you think?
Yes, Pop.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster. I'll tell Mr. Webb. I know he wants to put it in the paper.
Why, it's late.
Oh, good night, Irma. Real nice choir practice, wasn't it?
Myrtle Webb, look at that moon, will ya? Potato weather for sure.
Naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of those others. But we're alone now. Really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Simon Stimson.
Now, Luella.
But, Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drunk year after year. You know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella, we all know about Mr. Stimson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson keeps him on there in his job, the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it. not to notice it, but it's getting worse. No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I've been in the choir twice as long as you have, and it doesn't happen near so often. My, I hate to go to bed on a night like this. I better hurry. Those children will be sitting up till all hours. Good night, Luella. Can you get home safe, Luella?
It's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the window now. You think we've been to a dance the way the menfolk carry on?
Well, we had a real nice time.
You're late enough.
Why, Frank, it ain't any later than usual.
And you're stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of heads.
Now, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell the heliotrope in the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful? What did you do all the time I was away?
I read, like usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Stimson far gone, was he?
Worst I've ever seen him. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Simpson's private affairs than anyone in this town. Some people just aren't made for small town life. I don't know how that'll end, but there's nothing we can do about it but just leave it alone. Come, get in.
No, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What's there to be worried about?
I think it's my duty to make plans for you to get a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, well, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, there's no sense in going over that again.
Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, Julia, it's getting late. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. I reckon you'll have your wood chopped for a while anyway. No, stop getting upstairs.
Oh dear. There's always so many things to pick up, seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're getting citified. That's the trouble with them. And they ain't got nothing fits burgle. Everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one at this window. Always spoiling everything.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George, do you know what I think? Do you? I think maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer and there'll be an explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting near, the guys who sit up all night with telescopes would see it first. And they'd tell about it, and it'd be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on South America, Canada, and half the whole world?
Oh, probably is.
"9:30. Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. No, there's Constable Warren trying a few doors on Main Street. And there is Editor Webb after putting his newspaper to bed.
Good evening, Bill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a moon.
Yep.
All quiet tonight?
Simon Spencer's rolling around a little. Just saw his wife and left to hunt for him, so I looked the other way. Oh, there he is now.
Good evening, Simon. Most of the town settled down for the night pretty well. Good evening, yes. Seems most of the town has settled down for the night, Simon. I guess we better do the same. Can I walk along a ways with you? Good night.
I don't know how it's going to end, Mr. Webb.
Yes, well, he's seen a peck of trouble, one thing after another. Oh, Bill, if you see my boy smoking cigarettes, give him a word, will you? He thinks a lot of you, Bill.
Oh, Mr. Webb, I don't think he smokes no cigarettes. Leastways, not more than 2 or 3 a year.
I hope not. Well, Good night, Phil.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know, Papa. I just can't sleep. Isn't the moonlight so wonderful? And the smell of Miss Gibbs' heliotrope. Can you smell it?
Yes. Having any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, good night, Emily. But make sure your mother doesn't catch you.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Crowfoot got from the minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope the address was like this. It said, Jane Crowfoot, the Crowfoot Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished. The United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
And the postman brought it just the same.
What do you know?
That's our first act, friends. 10 minutes intermission. Three years have gone by. Yes, the sun has come up 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountain a little bit, and the rain has pushed down a bit of the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before have begun talking in regular sentences already. And a number of young people who thought themselves right young and spry have noticed that they came down up the flight of stairs like they used to, about their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of people have fallen in love and gotten married. Yes, the mountain has moved away a few fractions of an inch, and millions of gallons of water have passed by the mill. And here and there, a new home has popped up underneath the roof. Most everybody in the world gets married. You know what I mean? In our town, there isn't hardly any exception. Most everybody in the world climbs into their graves married. The first act was called the daily life. This act called love and marriage. There's a third act coming after that, and I reckon you can guess what that's about. So, it's 3 years later. It's July 7th. It's 1904, just after high school commencement. That's the time most of our young people jump up and get married. Seems as soon as they pass their final examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's orations that they see themselves fit to be married. Only this time, it's been raining. It's been thundering and pouring. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines drenched. All day yesterday on Main Street, the rain looked like curtains being blown all along. It may begin in a minute. There, you can hear the 545 for Boston. And there's Mrs. Webb and Mrs. Gibbs coming downstairs to make breakfast as if it were any ordinary day. Now, I don't have to point out to the women in my audience that both of those ladies they see before them, both of those ladies cook 3 meals a day. One of them for 20 years, the other for 40, and never for summer vacation. Both brought up 2 children apiece, washed and cleaned the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Middle West poets said. You've got to love life to have life. You've got to have life to love it. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Giddy up, Bessie!
There's Howie Newsom coming to deliver the milk. And there is Cy Crowd delivering the papers like his brother before.
Morning, Cy. Anything in the papers I ought to know?
Nothing much. Except for losing the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corners ever had, George Gibbs.
Reckon he is.
He could hit and run bases too.
Yep. Mighty fine ball player. Whoa. Bessie, I guess I can stop and talk if I have a mind to.
I don't see how he could give up a thing like that just to get married. Would you, Howie?
Can't tell, Cy. Never had no talent that way. You're up early, Bill.
Looking for a way to prevent a flood. Rivers are rising all night.
Cy Crowd's all worked up here about George Gibbs' retirement from baseball.
Yes, sir, that's the way it goes. Back in '84, we had a wonderful ball player side. His name was Hank Todd. And George Gibbs couldn't touch him. Wonderful ball player. Went down to Maine to Kevin Parson. Howie, how does the weather look to you?
Well, it ain't bad. Think maybe it'll clear up for me.
Good morning, Howie. Do you think it's going to rain again?
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. It rained so heavy, I think maybe it'll clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want?
I'm going to have a house full of relations, Howie. Looks to me like I'll need 2 of milk and 3 of cream.
My wife says to tell you we both hope they'll be very happy, Mrs. Gibbs. No, they will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife I hope she gets there to the wedding.
Yes, she'll be there. She'll be there if she can. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Newsom. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes'm, and 2 of cream. My wife.
Will it start raining again, Mr. Newsom?
Well, just saying to Miss Gibbs is how it may lighten up. My Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you as how we hope they'll both be very happy, Mrs. Webb. No, they will.
Thank you, and thank you, Mrs. Newsom. We're counting on seeing you at the wedding.
Yes, Mrs. Webb. We hope to get there. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Ma, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank, please don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Here, sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself. Only there ain't an awful lot to shave. Whistling and singing like he's happy to leave us. Every now and then he says I do to the mirror, but it don't sound awful convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how he'll get along. I've arranged his clothes and seen to it he's put warm things on. Oh, Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch his death of cold within a week.
I was remembering my wedding morning, Julia.
Don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
I was the scaredest young fella in New Hampshire. Thought I'd make a mistake for sure. And when I saw you coming down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Only the trouble was, I'd never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church, marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I've made something for you.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast.
It ain't hard to make, and I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yes, I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gangling thing. I'll tell you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in the world as a son. The relation of father and son is the darndest, awkwardest.
Well, mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
They'll have their troubles, no doubt, but that's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yes. People are meant to go through life 2 by 2. Tain't natural to be lonesome.
You know what I was scared of when I married you, Julia?
Oh, go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for conversation more than last us a few weeks. Thought we'd run out and eat our meals in silence, and that's a fact. We've been conversing for 20 years now without any noticeable barren spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather. Ain't very choice, but I always find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring around upstairs?
No. One day of the year she ain't up there ordering everybody around. She's hiding in her room. I get the impression she's crying.
Lord's sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where are you going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Now, George, you put on your overshoes. It's raining torrents. You don't go out of this house without your prepared.
Oh, Ma, it's just a step.
George, you catch a death of cold and cough all through the service.
George, do as your mother tells you.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all weathers. But while you're in my house, you live wisely. Thank you. Maybe Mrs. Webb, as it used to call us at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
Be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
Goodness, you frighten me. Now, George, you can come in a minute out of the wet. You know I can't ask you in.
Why?
George, you know as well as I do, the groom can't see his bride on his wedding day. Not until he sees her in the church.
Oh, that's just a superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
There's a lot of common sense in some superstitions, George.
Millions have followed it, George, and you don't want to be the first to fly in the face of custom.
How is Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet. I haven't heard a sound out of her.
Emily's asleep?
No wonder. We're up to all hours sewing and packing. Now, I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit here a minute with Mr. Webb and drink this cup of coffee, and I'll go upstairs and be sure she doesn't come down to surprise you. There's some bacon too, but don't be too long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
Fine. I'm fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there possibly be in a superstition like that?
Well, you see, on a wedding morning, a girl's head's apt to be full of clothes and one thing and another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes.
Yes.
I never thought of that.
A girl's head's apt to be full of worries on her wedding day, George.
I wish a fellow could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived has felt that way about it, George. But it hasn't been any use. It's still women folk who built up weddings, my boy. For a while now, the women have it all their own. A man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knot's tied in a mighty public way.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Don't you misunderstand me, my boy. Marriage is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. And don't you forget that, George.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, you see, I'd been away to college and taken a little time to get settled, but Mrs. Webb, well, she was much older than what Emily is. Oh, age hasn't much to do with it, George. Not compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
Oh, I don't know. Was I going to say something? George, I was thinking the other night of some advice my father gave me when I got married. Charles, he said. Charles, start off really showing who's boss, he said. Best thing to do is to give an order, even if it doesn't make sense, just so she'll learn to obey. And he said, if anything about your wife irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. And, oh, yes, he said never, never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
Well, Mr. Webb, I don't think I could.
So, I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. And let that be a lesson to you, George. Never to ask advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Luke's never been much interested, but I thought...
A book came into my office the other day, George, on the philo system of raising chickens. I want you to read it. I'm thinking of beginning a small way in the backyard and putting an incubator in the cellar.
Charles, are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you should be talking about things worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boy some good advice, I'll go upstairs and leave you alone with him.
Now, George, Emily's got to come down and eat her breakfast. She sends your hello, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
Goodbye?
Myrtle, I guess you never heard about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom should see his father-in-law on the wedding, or near it. Now, remember that.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Now I have to interrupt you again. You see, we want to know how all this began. This wedding. This plan has been a lot together. I'm often interested in how things like that. You know how it is. 21 or 22, you make some decisions, and then whoosh, you're 70, you've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired lady at your side has eaten over 50,000 meals. No such thing to begin. Now, George and Emily are going to show the conversation they had when they first knew that, as the saying goes, they were meant for one another. But before they do, I want you to try to remember what it was like to have been very young. How particularly the days when you were first in love. Like a person sleepwalking. And you didn't quite see the streets you were in. You didn't quite hear everything that was said. You were just a little bit crazy. So we try to remember that, please. Now, we'll be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class, and seeing as it's June, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. Now I have to tell you how important that is. Well, there they are now. Come down Main Street.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home. Goodbye. Oh, Ernestine, can you come over tonight and do Latin? Isn't that Cicero the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Emily, can I carry your books for you?
Why, thank you. It isn't far.
Oh, excuse me a minute, Emily. Say, Bob. Yeah, if I'm a little late for practice, start without me. And give her some long high ones.
Goodbye, Lizzie.
Goodbye, Lizzie. I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, since you asked, I might as well say it right out, George. Goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I had to tell the truth and shame the devil.
A change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot, and I used to watch you as you did everything, because we'd been friends for so long. But then you started spending all of your time at baseball, and you never stopped to speak to anybody anymore.
Not even your own family you didn't. And George, it's a fact. You've got awful conceited and stuck up, and all the girls say so. They may not say so to your face, but that's what they say about you behind your back. And it hurts me to hear them say it. But I've got to agree with them a little. I'm sorry I said that. And I'm sorry it hurts your feelings.
Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. I never thought that such a thing was happening to me. I guess it's hard for a fella not to have faults creep into his character.
I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he should be!
Oh, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is, and as far as I can see, your father is. There's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I feel it's the other way around, that men aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as a man, because we girls are more nervous. I'm sorry I said all that about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily.
Now I can see that it's not the truth at all. And suddenly I feel it's not important anyway.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before we go home?
Oh, yes, I would. Thank you.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Mrs. Slocum.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What do you have? Why, Emily Webb, what have you been crying about?
She just got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. She was almost run over by that hardware store wagon. Everybody says that Tom Huckins drives like a crazy man.
Well, now. You get a drink of water, Emily. You look all shook up. There you are. Now, what do you have?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate, thank you, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily. Have an ice cream soda with me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
All right. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, there are 125 horses in Grover's Corners this minute I'm talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday, and now they're bringing in these automobiles. The best thing to do is just stay at home. Why, I remember when a dog could go to sleep in the middle of Main Street and nothing come along all day to disturb him. There you are. Enjoy. Yes, Mrs. Ellis, what can I get for you?
They're so expensive.
No, Emily, don't you think of that. We're celebrating our election. And do you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I have a friend that tells me all the things that ought to be told me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that. I don't know why I said it. It's not true.
No, Emily, you stick to it. I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. But you'll see, I'm going to change so quick. You bet I'm going to change. And Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
Yes.
Emily, if I go away to State Agriculture College next year, will you write me a letter once in a while?
I certainly will. I certainly will, George. It certainly seems being away for 3 years, you'd get out of touch with things. Maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after a while. Grover's Corners isn't a very important place when you think of all New Hampshire. But I think it's a lovely town.
The day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything that's going on here. I know that's true, Emily.
Well, I'll try to make my letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to agriculture school to be a good farmer.
Why, George!
Yeah, and some of them say that it's even a waste of time. You can get all that stuff anyway from all the pamphlets the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. He's about ready for me to start over taking his farm tomorrow, if I could.
My!
And like you say, being gone all that time, in other places, meeting other people. Gosh, if a thing like that can happen, then I don't want to go away. I guess new people aren't any better than old ones, but they almost never are. And Emily, I feel that you're as good a friend as I've got. I don't need to go and meet the people in other towns.
But George, maybe it's very important for you to go and learn all that about soils and cattle judging and those things. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm gonna make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, I'm glad that you spoke to me about that fault in my character. What you said was right, but there was one thing in it that was wrong, and that was when you said that for a year I wasn't noticing people. And you, for instance. Why, you say that you were watching me when I did everything. Well, I was doing the same about you all the time. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were with. And for 3 days now, I've been trying to walk you home, but something's always gotten in the way. Just yesterday, I was stood up against the wall waiting for you, and you walked home with Miss Corcoran.
George, life's awful funny. How was I supposed to know that? Why, I thought...
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. I think that once you've found a person that you're fond of, who's fond of you too, I mean, and who cares about you enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that that's just as important as school, and even more so. That's what I think.
I think that's awfully important too.
Emily?
Yes, George?
Emily, if I do improve and make a big change, would you be... could you be?
I am now. I always have been.
Well, I guess that this is an important conversation we've been having then.
Yes. Yes.
Give me just a minute and I'll walk you home. Mr. Morgan, I'll have to go home and get the money to pay you for this.
George Gibbs, do you mean to tell me that
Yes, but I had reasons, Mr. Morgan. Here, take my gold watch to keep you company while I go and get the money.
That's all right. Keep your watch. I'll trust you, George.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, and not a day over. Don't be scared, Emily.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
I'm ready.
Well, now we can get on with the wedding. There are a lot of things to be said at the wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during the wedding. You can't get to them all in one wedding, naturally, especially not at Grover's Corners. They're often plain and short. In this wedding, I play the minister. That gives me the right to say a few more things about it. You see, for a while now, the play gets pretty serious. Some churches say that marriage is a sacrament. I don't quite know what that means, but I think I can guess. I think it's like what Mrs. Gibbs said a few minutes ago. We were made to live 2 by 2. Now, this is a good wedding, but people are so put together that even at a good wedding, there's a lot of confusion way down deep in people's minds. We thought that ought to be in a play as well. The real hero is seen as on the stage at all. And you all know that. It's like what one of those European fellows said. The baby born into the world is nature's attempt to make a perfect human being. Well, nature's been pushing and contriving for some time now, and we know she's interested in quantity. But I think she's interested in quality too. And don't forget about the other witnesses as well. The ancestors. Millions of them. Many of them set out to live life 2 by 2 as well. Millions of them. Well, that's my sermon. It ain't very long anyway.
I don't know why on earth I should be crying. Suppose there's nothing to cry about. Came over, me at breakfast this morning. There was Emily, eating her breakfast as she's done for 17 years. And now she's going off to eat in someone else's house. Suppose that's it. And Emily, she's suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. And she put her head on the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say it. There's something downright cruel, you know, about sending our girls off into marriage this way. I hope some of her girlfriends have told her a thing or two. It's cruel, I know, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I went into it blind as a bat myself. The whole world's wrong. That's what's the matter. There they come.
Hey, George! George! Look at him, Billy. He looks scared to death.
George, don't look so innocent, you old geezer. We know what you're thinking. Don't chase the TV.
All right. That's enough of that. There's a lot of that in olden days. Rome and so on. We're more mature now. So they say.
George, what's the matter?
Ma, I don't want to grow old. Why is everybody pushing me so?
George, you wanted it.
No, Ma, listen to me.
No, George, you're a man now.
Ma, listen to me for the last time I ask you. All I want to do is to be a fella.
George, anyone should hear you. No, stop. Why, I'm ashamed of you.
What? Where's Emily?
George, you gave me such a turn.
Cheer up, Ma. I'm getting married. Ma, you save Thursday nights. Me and Emily are coming over for dinner every Thursday night. Just you wait. Ma, what are you crying for? Come on. We have to get ready for this.
I never felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there looking so... I hate him. I wish I were dead. Oh, Papa!
Emily! Don't get upset.
Papa, I don't want to get married.
Shh, Emily. Everything's alright.
Why can't I stay for a while just as I am? Let's go away.
No. Stop and think a minute.
Don't you remember you used to say, all the time you used to say, all the time, that I was your girl? There must be lots of places we can go to. I'll work for you. I can keep house.
Shh, Emily.
You're just nervous is all. You mustn't think of such things. George! Will you come here a minute? Why, you're marrying the best young fellow in the world. George is a fine fellow.
But Papa,
Giving away my daughter, George. Think you could take care of her.
Mr. Webb, I want to try. I'm going to do my best. I love you. I need you.
if you love me, help me. All I want is someone to love me.
I will, Emily. I'll try.
And I mean forever. Do you hear me? Forever and ever.
They're waiting for us. Now you know. Everything will be alright. Come quick.
Do you, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding, don't you? Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
I do.
do you, Emily, take this man, George, to be your lawfully wedded husband?
Don't know when I've seen such a lovely wedding, but I always cry. Don't know why it is, but I always cry. I just like to see young people happy, don't you? Oh, I think it's lovely.
Do you, Paul?
I do.
Lorraine? I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I don't know. M marries in millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, first rheumatism, the grandchildren, second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times. It's interesting. You may now kiss the bride. Well, let's have Mendelssohn's Wedding March.
Aren't they a lovely couple? Oh, I've never been to such a nice wedding. I'm sure they'll be happy. I always say happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
That is the second act, friends. 10 more minutes intermission. Now you come back now. This time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in Grove's Corners. Horses are getting rare. Farmers are coming into town in Fords. And now, everybody locks their house doors at night. Haven't been any burglars in town yet, but everybody's heard about it. You'll be surprised, though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grove's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often. Lots of sun and moon and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon, you see a range upon range of hills. Awfully blue they are, up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. And way up, if you have a glass, you can see the White Mountains and Mount Washington, where North Conway and Conway lie. Of course, our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock, and the towns that lie around it. Jaffrey, and East Jaffrey, and Peterborough, and Dublin. And there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here, mountain laurel and lilacs. I often wonder why people prefer to be buried in Woodland, in Brooklyn, when they might pass up the same time here, in New Hampshire. There are the old stones, 1670 to 1680. Strong-minded people who come a long way to be independent. Summer, people walk around and laugh at the funny words on the tombstones. Don't do any harm, I suppose. Genealogists come up from Boston, paid by the city folk to trace back their ancestors. They want to make sure that they're daughters of the American Revolution and of the Mayflower. Don't do any harm either, I suppose. Seems whenever you come near the human race, there's always layers and layers of nonsense. There are some Civil War veterans, iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys had the notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they've never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the names, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. This here is a new part of our cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs, and Simon Stimson, organist of the Congregational Church, and Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so. Don't you remember? And plenty of others. And Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, whose appendix burst on a camping trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, an awful lot of sorrow. Sort of quiet down up here. People just wild with grief had brought their relatives up to this hill. And then in time, the sunny days, the rainy days of snow, they're glad that they're in a beautiful spot and that they'll be coming up here too when the fit is over. Now, there are some things we all know, but we don't take them out to look at them very often. Everybody knows that something is eternal. It ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal, and that something has to do with human beings. The greatest people ever lived have been saying it for over 5,000 years. Yeah, you'd be surprised how often people are losing hold of it. Everybody knows way down deep that something is eternal. Now, you all know that the dead don't stay interested in us living for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth and the ambitions they had and the pleasures they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved. They get weaned away from the earth. It's the way I put it. Weaned away. And they stay here for a while the earth part of them burns away, burns out. Slowly, they become indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Something important, great. Aren't they waiting for that eternal part to come out clear? Now, some of the things they're going to say maybe will hurt your feelings a little bit, but that's just the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser. All those terribly important things seem to grow pale around here. And what's left when the memory's gone? And your identity, Mrs. Smith. Well, there are some living people. There's Joe Stoddard, supervising the new made grave. And there is the Grover's Corners girl, who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Samantha Craig.
Gracious sakes alive! Of all people, I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. You've been gone away a long time, Samantha.
Yes, I've been away over 12 years. I'm in business out in Buffalo now, Joe. But I was in the East when I got news of my cousin's death, so I thought I'd combine things a little and come and see the old home. You look well.
Yes, can't complain. Very sad our journey today, Samantha.
Yes.
Yes. I always say I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come in early today. My son's supervising at the home.
Old Mrs. McCarty. I used to do chores for her. After school. She has a lumbago.
Yes, we brought Mrs. McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she... Of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 3 years ago now. About this time. Today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's daughter, Samantha. Samantha Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Mostly the bereaved pick a verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those Hersey sisters left now. Let me see. I wanted to see my fathers and mothers.
Over there with the Craigs, Avenue F.
He was organist at church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
No one was supposed to know about it. He'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Yep, hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. He chose his own epitaph, you can see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Why, it's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time.
Joe, what did she die of?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, didn't you know? Had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. Wasn't her first, though. It was a little boy about 4 years old.
The grave's gonna be over there?
Yes. There ain't much room over here with the Gibbses anymore, so they're opening up a whole new Gibbs section up by Avenue D. You'll excuse me now, I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare, the road up here must have been awful muddy. What did she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth? I've forgotten all about that. My, wasn't life awful and wonderful?
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was the brightest girl ever graduated from high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I caught up with them at their farm just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
It's on the same road we lived on.
Yep, that's smart.
I always liked this hymn. I was hoping they'd sing a hymn.
Hello? Oh, hello, Emily.
Hello, Mrs. Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily.
Hello. It's raining.
Yes. They'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Stimpson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs. George and I have made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and a great long cement drinking fountain for the stocks. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. Live people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? It seems as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy's spending the day at Mr. Carter's. Oh, Mrs. Carter, my little boy's spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford too. Never gives us any trouble. I don't drive, though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Being one of them? How long does it...
Shh, dear. Just rest yourself.
I know. Look. They're finished. They're leaving. Look. Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Oh, Mother Gibbs, I never realized how troubled and how in the dark live persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till dark, that's all they are. Troubled.
A little cooler than it was.
Yes, that rain's cooled it off a little.
Those northeast winds are the same thing, don't they? If it isn't a rain, it's a 3-day blow.
Oh, Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there again, into living. I feel it. I know it. Why, just then for a moment, I was thinking about the farm. For a moment I was there. And my baby was in my lap as plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
I can go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go and live back there again.
Yes, some have tried. but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
But I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day that I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself live it.
Yes?
And you see the thing that they down there will never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our life here is to forget all that and think only of what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
But Mother Gibbs, how could I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had.
Oh, Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least choose an unimportant day. Just the least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
Then it can't be since I was married, or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Do you want any special time of day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
We'll begin at dawn. You'll remember it had been snowing for several days, but had just stopped the night before, and they had begun clearing up the roads. The sun's coming up.
Look, there's Main Street. And that's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes. It's 1899. This is 14 years ago.
Oh, that's the town that I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be around our house. Oh, I'd forgotten it. Oh, I loved it so. Are they inside?
Yes. Your mother will be downstairs in a minute to make breakfast.
Will she?
And you remember your father had been away for several days. He caught the early train home.
No.
He had been back to his college to make a speech in New York.
Look, there's Howie Newsom. There's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
No, Bessie. Bessie. Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
Been rescuing a party. Darn near froze to death down by Polish Town there. Got drunk a loud snowdrifts. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Why, there's Joe Crowell.
Good morning, Mr. Warren.
Good morning.
Good morning, Howie.
Children, Wally, Emily, time to get up. Mama, I'm here. Oh, how young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young. You can come and dress by the kitchen fire if you'd like, but hurry.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. It's cold.
Tell me about my bone.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it out for you special on the dresser there. If there were a snake, it'd bite you.
Yes.
Good morning, Bill. Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early? Yes. Just been back to my old college in New York State. Been in any trouble here? Well, woke up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was. We must get in the paper. Twa'n't much.
Oh, Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes, can't think of anything that's happened special. Been right cold. Howie Newsom says it's 10 below over to his barn.
Yes, well, it's colder than that at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it.
Thank you.
Charles, don't forget, it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Yes, I've got something here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her at breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Hurry up, children, it's 7 o'clock. Now I don't want to call you again.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm all grown up. I love you all. Everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Can I go in? Good morning, Mama.
Well, now, dear, a very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises for you on the kitchen table.
Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. That in the blue paper is something from your Aunt Carrie, and I reckon you can guess who brought the postcard album. I found it on the doorstep when I brought in the milk. George Gibbs must have come over in the cold pretty early. Right nice of him.
Oh, George, I'd forgotten that.
Chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Mama, just look at me for 1 minute as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. You're a grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs, Mama. Wally's dead, too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. We felt just terrible about it, don't you remember? But just a moment now, we're all together. Mama, just for a moment, we're happy. Let's look at one another.
That in the yellow paper is something I found in the attic among your grandmother's things. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you might like it.
This is from you. Oh, Mama, it's just lovely, and it's just what I wanted. It's beautiful.
I hoped you'd like it. Hunted all over. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find one in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally's got something for you, too. He made it in manual training class, and he's very proud of it. Be sure you make a big fuss about it. Your father has a surprise for you, too. Don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all that was going on, we never noticed. Take me back, up the hill, to my grave. But first, wait. One more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, Earth. Bye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers. And new iron dresses in hot baths. And sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Many human beings realize life while they live it. Every minute.
No. The same set of holes, maybe. They do so.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you. To spend and waste time as if you had 1,000,000 years. To be always at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Now you know. That's the happy existence you want to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth, and you know it. Look at that star, Emily. I forget its name.
My boy Joe was a sailor. Knew them all. He sat on the porch evenings and would tell them all by name. Yes, sir. Wonderful.
The star's mighty good company. Yes, this is.
Here's one of them coming.
That's funny. Tain't no time for one of them to be here. Goodness sakes.
Mother Gibbs. It's George.
Dear, just rest yourself.
It's George.
And my boy Joe, who knew the stars, he used to say it took millions of years for that speck of light to get to the earth. Don't seem like a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Goodness, that ain't no way to behave. He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily?
They don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Shorty Hopkins, down at the depot, had just watched the Albany train go by. And at the livery stable, somebody is sitting up late and talking. Yes, it is clear enough. There are the stars doing their old crisscross journeys across the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet. They seem to believe that there are no living beings up there. Just chalk or fire. Only this one is straining away. Straining away far enough to make something of itself. Only the strain's got so bad that every 16 hours, everybody's got to lay down and get some rest. $9:20 at Grover's Corners. You get some rest too. Good night.
calm down for a second, please? Okay, so me and Hannah were student directors for Art Town, and Hannah was also stage manager. And Ms. Horgan worked so hard to put this production together. So we got her a director's gift, which is a ladder and some flowers. Aren't they amazing? Thank you, everybody, for supporting them. We really appreciate it. Good night.